one. We are live.
Watch The Fling Show live on YouTube Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Central Time.
The Fling Show. Y'all wanna know about the mystery of flight? Y'all wanna hear about the scene done right? So kill your TV and just come outside. We're gonna take you on a beautiful ride. The Fling Show. 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 The Fling Show.
You're alright, you're late. You are more than what you think. It's okay, it's alright. It's okay to shine your light. Talk to me. Talk to me. Just come outside. We're gonna take you on a beautiful ride. Fling Show. The 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 Fling Show. Facebook. Nobody knows, nobody cares, but we're gonna do it anyway.
That was supposed to stop. Oh my goodness. Stop. Well, good evening, folks. Welcome to the Fling Show this evening. And we have to thank Mr. Himmeline for that wonderful new video. Excellent music as well, always as well. But I will be bringing on my co-host here in just a moment. We have a special guest for you this evening. I'm going to let him introduce you to the audience. So beforehand, you know what it is. We have to thank our sponsors of the Fling Show, and that is Team Lone Star Disc. They have been sponsoring the show since day one. And not only that, though, they've been putting out amazing plastic. I know that my partner on the show cannot wait to throw their brand new disc, the Horny Toad. Cannot wait to get that as well. I was supposed to be able to throw that today. I was taking on Terry, going to get my payback. But if you woke up in Houston, Texas, or Spring, or the Woodlands, or Conroe, pretty much anywhere within about the first 100 miles of the coast, it was raining. We needed it, so I didn't get my payback. But Terry, I'm going to get my payback next time. So going to get out there and throw that Horny Toad as well. But until then, going to get Dave on the show. Dave, how you doing this evening? Had a great weekend with what was going on the Disc Golf Pro Tour side of it, wrapping it up. Kind of give me your thoughts on what you saw this weekend, my friend, and good evening.
Hey, Chris. How you doing, man? Hey, thanks a lot for the video. That made my night. That's funny. As soon as I sent you that, I was thinking that's the tree hit of guitar playing. I definitely.
Yeah, you knew what was going to happen with that. Especially, I had to zoom in and capture really the look of terror on your face, as any musician knows who has a wonderful mic. Seeing that thing diving towards the ground, it's like not like going to a concert where you see your favorite rock and roll guy at the end of the show just take it and slam it into the ground. He's like, yeah, walks off. You're like, no.
Yes,
I need that microphone.
I don't have the budget that the rock stars have.
Not written in the budget, that's for sure.
No, not at all. Let's talk about talk about the men's side or the women's.
You tell me which one. I've got
the
it all
women's
kind of
side, you
teed
got to
up
go
for us
straight
this
to the
evening.
controversy. You got to go straight to the controversy. Holland Hanley threw it OB on hole 18, and they gave her the advancement. So it's like stroke and distance. If it hadn't crossed back over, she'd be re-teeing basically. And this is for the championship. And so the card agrees, but they have footage, and it's pretty definitive. So for the first time in disc golf, really, the coverage could have made the call. So that was interesting, I thought. And the card, has the final control of the decision, which is the way it should be. So it worked out. What did you think of that? Did you see that, what I was talking about?
I did, and like you said, it's the card's discretion on that, and which is really funny because as a TD, I run many tournaments, and it's always supposed to be up to the card's discretion. But oftentimes, what do you see out there on tour? Is you see people out there marking disc and OBs. Just happened that there wasn't somebody right there on that one.
They saw it. There was a spotter and all that, but the spotter assumed it was inbounds enough to where he could get them to make the call. So the spotter initially spotted it down, advanced it down the fairway.
I'd be interested to know if that spotter had the ability to make the call, because that is something that you have to announce beforehand. If spotters have TD authority to make calls, I believe that's inside the new rules. I mean, once again, it's very long book, but I do remember seeing that somewhere as a TD. If you do employ spotters, you can have that spotter only give ideas of where the disc goes in and out, and it's still going to be up to the discretion of the card whether they believe where the spotter says it does go. Oftentimes he's down there and you're not, so they'll just take that spotter's word for it. But it doesn't mean that they have any say on that card.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to know exactly how that one goes.
Well,
I wouldn't know why you would not. Why would you put someone who's so much closer to the throw in the authoritative position to make the call?
Yeah, I think that one's a wash because the card makes the decision. So, we'll just see what happens moving forward. They need to be more careful at that course, at that tournament, on that hole, for sure. They need to be more on top of that call, which they were, as far as like video. If you could go to the video, it was pretty decisive. I heard, I didn't see the actual footage, but anyway, the thing that stands out to me was both the winner, women and men, finished 7 triple bogey for the men and triple bogey for the women, and won the championship. Both of them. That's kind of interesting, I thought.
It is a strange way to end, but at the end, I mean, it's kind of like I equate that to running track, right? You're in the 100-meter dash, you get out there fast. You don't need to necessarily run all the way through the
match play.
You don't have to. You don't have to run all the way through the tape. You just have to be the first one through the tape. And they both played it that way. But boy, howdy, it must have been nice being able to go into that last hole with that many strokes, right?
Yeah,
you did all your work before you even got there.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, great play by Kyle Klein and Hanley. Amazing. Couple of things that stood out. The score for the women, I was looking at the totals for the women in the 20s. It's the same course they're playing as the men. I don't think there's anything different. There may be a couple of tee boxes, but I think they're playing the exact same thing. So if you go back and look at scores from USDGC, guarantee you they're not even in close to single digit or double digits. I'm guessing it'll be more around 5-10 down a couple of years ago for the ladies playing at Rock Hill. But that's amazing. A lot of 20s and stuff like that. That stands out to me. The other thing that I kept going back to is greens. This course is not punishing off with the drive unless the wind gets up. You can play it safe. You can play your position. But this course has great greens, just like we talked about. It's the difference. The difference in, we play a local mini and somebody, kind of somewhat shanks their shot, ends up 35 feet out from the basket. and you can still get your birdie, right?
Mhm.
Not the case at USDGC. You get punished for that, for missing those par two shots. You know, it's really a par two game. The USDGC is, you get yourself in position with this kind of drive right here, and then you manage the green. I mean, look at that green.
That, yeah.
That green is dropping off 40 feet. You don't really see it from the video like it really is. I mean, you could fall down into the water where Antela is. So the greens, it's all about the greens, and they've been doing it for 25 years. You know,
here's your last 2 OB shots by the winner to win the tournament, right? Mm-hmm. Easy up shot, still goes out of bounds.
Still wins,
he's got to be feeling it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I saw his interview. He was a little nervous, but he knew he had the strokes, and he was watching his phone for the last 4 or 5 holes. I kept watching him. He knew exactly what was going on. But here, Brad Williams, he's the sub story of the tournament. Great play, almost won it. Comes back within 1 stroke of tying it up for a championship. And all of his interviews that I saw, did you catch any of his interviews?
I did.
He's Mr. Positivity now. What a turnaround, you know? I mean, everybody knows the nickname, the Texas Cactus, you know, that was kind of he was known for being cactus-like.
But that's what you told me before I just walked up to him and interviewed him for the first time. But I do remember you saying that after I got done.
He's great. He's always been great to me. I've had nothing but respect, but he had some history, and he was, you know, put on, you know, he was banned for, you know, whatever. He had to do some time away from disc golf for attitude stuff. So he was, you know, he's just a very competitive guy who's figured out that whole positivity game.
Right.
And that's trouble. That's for a lot of players, because he's going to be around. And also just influencing kids, you know, really like everything he was answering. I got the feeling he was answering to those people who've been clicking on his socials and stuff like that. He's talking to them, you know, here's what you need to do, you know.
Right.
Anyway.
I like that. I think this like the 18th new winner of a major now. It's amazing how few major winners there really are out there. Now, if I'm not mistaken, he's like number 18, is he not? Something around there?
No, I don't know. I didn't hear that. But
yeah, if you go back and you look at all the major winners, I mean, you got McBeth, and you know, you got all the Climos who just kept taking them all for years and years and years. So if you look at the major winners, there's very few of them, the Wysocki's and the Lazats, who have multiples, right? So if you start looking at the fact that there may be only at one time 4, now there may be 6, 8 a year, you know, one guy, McBeth, here he goes winning 6 out of the 8. That doesn't leave very much room for the rest of the field. So yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it's around 18. But you had mentioned before you liked that what Tatar had said before the round when they were interviewing her about the importance of it. Can you kind of go over that real quick, and then we'll kind of move on?
I just felt like she was, you know, kind of funny, just kind of off the top of her head. I think he asked if she felt the pressure or whatever, and she's like, I just won 4 majors, you know. No, I don't feel pressure. I want to win it, you know, and I'm excited about it, but you know, I thought that was the perfect answer. But
that's where you and I'd also say, well, I guess the thing really is that is she more concerned about the money? Because if you just look at what the Disc Golf Pro Tour announced about the record-setting pro purse this year was just amazing, right? $322,000 awarded to 52 competitors who qualified for the championship based on season-long points totals.
For both men and women.
That is just amazing. And co-equal $40,000 to first place prizes to the champions in both the FPO and MPO divisions. Come on now, coming a long way. Also, big news again. Don't know if you saw this, Hemi. CBS Sports and Disc Golf Pro Tour announced a deal. They're now going to be showing 3 tour tournaments next year. Take a wild guess on which 3 you think they will be.
let's see, USDGC,
Okay.
Worlds,
Okay.
and up there in Boston there. What's that there?
The ladies only event.
Oh, really? That's the other one, is ladies only?
But what's the name of it?
The name of it? The women throwing frisbees.
Throw Pink.
Oh, okay, cool. Sarah
Throw
Nichols.
Pink Women's Disc Golf
Nice.
Championships.
So USDGC and Throw Pink and Worlds.
PDGA Pro World Championships, the United States Disc Golf Championships, and the Throw Pink Women's Disc Golf Championships will be broadcasted, produced by Jomez and Disc Golf Network, but through CBS. Tell you
Wow.
what,
Moving on
LL
up.
Bean is going to be one of the sponsors as well. I've said it forever. They've got to start getting away from disc golf manufacturers as the sponsor. They need to start getting into corporations,
Yeah.
HEBs, Kroger's, insurance companies, whatever it takes, banks, financial institutions. That's
Yeah.
how they're going to make it. That's how they're going to make the big bucks.
Well, there it is. It's happening.
I'm going to be very interested, though, to see the upgrade in the coverage, right? I hope that this also means that we don't just get to have to see the lead card or the featured card, during the week, that we're able to get to see the players much more like you get to see in a regular golf pro tour event as well. But I just
my
thought
guess, my guess is they're going to be a little bit, they'll have more camera guys who are less experienced. So you might have some sketchy moments with more shots, but as long as you got switchboard operators,
people in the truck are the one who's going to get it. But you're right. It's the cameramen. They're the ones who have to capture the
and
event.
you got to train them how to do it.
Right.
From filming disc golf, there's a way, after you see the shot miss, or the shot come in off the drive, you want to see it relative to the basket. There's certain things that you just know when you're a disc golfer with all the coverage that you watch and then going out there and filming it yourself. That'll be an issue, but it won't matter. I mean, that's a huge step. I mean, it's going to be, I would imagine, the same kind of crew, with more power.
All right. Well, they've also released next year's schedule as well. As you can see, they've smartened up and started coming through Texas in March, which is a much better time to come. May have to deal with the rain, but the heat won't be there. That's for sure. Starting it off before this, I believe it's some kind of all-star weekend out there in Orlando. But then you have the Florida Open, and then they make the Texas swing. Waco. Austin's going to have back-to-back massive weekends. Did you see that? They had the Open at Austin, and then Chrissy Fountain's group out there, our old co-host and cohort up there. She's going to be doing that United States Women's Disc Golf Championships out there in Austin, Texas, March the 21st through the 24th. So proud of her for doing that as well. And then you got Gorilla Disc Golf there with Vandergrift down at Texas State Championship in Houston, and that's going to be at the end of March.
Back at Brock.
Yeah, back at Brock. And from what I've heard, they're putting out permanent tee pads on the pro
nice.
course.
That's great.
So, yeah, you're going to have the permanent tee pads. If I'm not mistaken, they may be already in as well. And that's going to be on the end of March. So that's perfect weather in Texas, especially down here south where we are. So thank goodness they're not coming to us in the middle of summer like they do some other people. But that's the new tour dates, and that's the Texas swing as well. All right, him.
Cool.
That's what we got on the golf side. We have something a little unique this evening. If you want to go ahead and start filling everybody else in on it.
Okay. Yeah, loosely related to disc golf, but a guy that I've been knowing for a long time, for about 30 years, I guess, almost. No, 25 years. Met through a mutual friend, and we found a musical connection way back then around 2003 and somewhere around then. And then we moved away. And so I didn't see Chris for a long time, but after that, he managed, I'll let him tell the story. He was stalking me, and he managed to connect with me at a time when I was just like 30 minutes from where he was, and at a time when we had during Christmas where we could hang out, and we spent some time there and rekindled our musical interest. And so anyway, that's enough talking. Chris is a great friend of mine. We worked together back in around 2000. He's an artist, musician, composer, writer, piano player, guitar player, all this stuff. He was playing piano when I met him in 2003, but his guitar work, you could see the years of work that he had put in, and he's gotten really good at it. And Chris, I think he has some footage tonight. But anyway, without any more ramblingness, let's bring on my buddy Chris Edwards from Cleveland, Texas. How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are y'all?
I'm good. What's going on there in Cleveland?
Just some tight hip flexors and a tender back, but hanging in there. You forgot Lover in that introduction.
Well, I didn't know if we were gonna go with that fast.
That's later on in the interview. Come on now.
That's just assumed.
Yeah.
You
gotta save that for the juicy stuff for later.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I reached out and found him through the interwebs. I was longing for a musical connection and remembered him, and my lack of skill tech-wise, I was able to locate him through, I think it was LinkedIn. I knew he
that's
played
crazy.
Utah, so that was
the crazy part. I mean, the connecting part, that's easy. You figure you can find somebody in a couple of clicks. But the crazy part was how I had car trouble, and then everybody I was traveling with had to go back to Houston. So I'm in Weatherford by myself with the whole itinerary of just fixing my van. I can stay here as long as I need to. I'm already with that mindset. I'm already thinking this might take a week. I don't know how long they're going to take to fix it. And I hadn't been to the shop yet. And then Chris calls. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" It's like, "Oh, I'm just here doing nothing with my guitar." So Chris came over and to my in-laws in Weatherford, right there across from Weatherford Disc Golf Course. Chris McClung, you've been there.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went to the little back house and we jammed and drank like 2 pots of coffee, and and that was it. Just kind of rekindled something that just barely started back in 2003, because Chris was a piano player and he would come over. He was helping do in the faux finish world and stuff. He did some mural stuff like that.
Yeah, I had just started playing the piano, and you were my first exposure to guitar, really, and recording. So that just stayed with me, and eventually became a healthy obsession, I guess you could say. And I just haven't stopped doing it, but love to write. Yeah,
that's what was cool for me was, if you take a snapshot of the last time I saw him, and then all of a sudden we're jamming music together, it was almost like nothing happened for me. Like I didn't have to learn all that guitar stuff. And he's much more advanced in theory than I am. He studies the stuff, and he actually plays with theory in mind, and which is, he's something that I'm learning from Chris. But that was what was cool, was like in an instant, we're instantly jamming, and we had this connection, and it really went on for about 6 hours in the back. We didn't really record anything either, did we?
No, we were just more talking, catching up. I remembered all the songs that you played, because it was a brief stint that we actually made our first connection, I'd say.
Yeah. And then fast forward, how long has it been? Like 2 years since that time, about a year and a half?
Last October is when I connected with you.
Last October.
Yeah.
It was just a year.
Yep.
So, and then over that time, Chris and I have written, I don't know, 8 songs together, probably, if I was going to put a number up there. And then also separately inspired each other to write songs. And it just gives you somebody, because when you're kind of a songwriter, you need an audience. And even if it's just one person, it really pulls the music out of you. And that's what I was telling you last week when I said I wanted to, tell you something exciting that's happened in my life. And that's what it is. It's real. I found a musical connection. And when he came last weekend, a couple weekends ago, was the first time we ever really recorded. I sent you, it was probably the first jam, and Chris, you have it, McClung, you have it. And that was when it was kind of confirming what I'd kind of had a hunch. And I told Chris, I was like, we just need to sit down and play some music together, because I have a feeling it's going to work. And we did that weekend. We went to a park there in Conroe by the fountain. Those were good, Chris. I didn't have time to send you those, but
you gave me one of them, but I didn't have time to download it. But
Okay.
Let me just kind of play this first one for everybody real quick, if you don't mind.
right on.
Okay, here we go. Dave, you want to walk me through what you're doing?
Chris had this thing. This is Chris's thing, and I'm kind of mocking up my harmony part. I don't really have the words. Chris has the words. He's looking at them, and
Yeah, it's a song called Babel.
yeah. I was calling Bubble, the lavender bubble.
And I had a nephew who passed. Short girl. He started playing. I was teaching him how to play. And
Hey, Chris, we'll need you to turn up your mic a little bit. You're real low on that. We can't hear you very well.
can you hear me now?
There you go. Tell that story again, Chris.
Yeah, my nephew passed, and I was teaching him to play. And during that loss, I gained a lot of perspective. I had to feed that grief.
Sorry, I fucked up there.
Music.
Right here, normally I would go into another.
And
Hey, Chris, after this video, let's hear the rest of that story.
Sure.
Just to set up what was going on there, we just set up my phone on the shelf. That's how we recorded that, and just kind of came into my studio here and just sort of started playing. We really didn't. Both Chris and I are really probably the most non-technical people on this podcast, other than you, Chris. But Chris McClung, you've kind of got it figured out a little bit.
Yeah.
But we're working on it. But so that's what that was, and Chris was explaining the lyrics. Go ahead. I wanted to give you time to tell that story, because this is the important stuff for me.
Well, the babble just came from a perspective. We talk all the time, whether or not it's meaningless or not. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But it's the connection that even through rambling, that's where we learn and find out what's important to people and each other. So that kind of stemmed from all that loss and trying to gain knowledge. And that for me moves like the growth of fingernails or continental drift. So I'm working on it. And the music helps exercise the demons.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. You talked about Babel. And I shared, when Chris and I reconnected, I'd share this near-death experience stuff, really woo-woo stuff that I'm into. And Chris is not that. He's not into that, which is kind of cool, because we have this ongoing sort of, comical babble, I guess.
Yeah.
And there's this one lady on there who would, it's really impressive, the stuff she was throwing down from what she picked from the afterlife, or whatever you want to call it, the ether,
Quantum
and she would start off by speaking in tongues, which is kind of what you're talking about with the babble, because
For sure.
Chris and I we'll contact each other with texts and stuff, and we've kind of developed this system of, don't get offended because I might say something weird.
Yeah.
That's our system, kind of, and by weird, I mean just kind of the top of your head, like you said, like babble.
Well, it's definitely the year that we've been talking through text and taking pictures. It's definitely going to be a canon of musical inspiration over the next
It is. It's the start of our project. And Chris had this funny concept, which I think is pretty cool, is that really what we're developing is two different veins of music. There's one that's edgy, and a little bit demanding or on the listener, or not demanding, but just I guess demanding. Yeah. Technically, not technically, but like emotionally, you know, there's some things that you might not want to put out to the public. That's where
Right.
it goes into the Galactic Sage stuff.
Layman.
Yeah. And the other side is more Simon and Garfunkel sweet yacht music, which is Sine Capri, which is based off of a song I wrote in Phoenix, which was one of the first songs I played for Chris back in the day. But Chris had a nephew. Tell him about the nephew you were telling that story.
Well, he passed, and it was just, you know, devastating. Everybody. He was 19. His name was Ben Edwards, and it was a traumatic loss for everybody. Kind of fractured, you know, everybody's sense of reality. And I mean, when that happens, you know, you'll be grieving forever, but you got to turn that grief into something. Take that energy and spin it into something good, and achieve some kind of insight through our daily babble, ramblings, conversations, all that good stuff. But yeah, it's still an ongoing process, you know, as we all are works in progress here.
And that was pretty, I guess, really fresh when we first hooked back up a year ago. That was.
Oh yeah, I was reaching out. I was seeking.
Yeah, and I could tell that. Yeah. Well, thanks for telling that story. I mean, Chris and I also did we went through the what's the guy's name? Stutz. He's a psychologist. You find this movie called Stutz on Netflix, and go to it and check it out. There's some great tools that you can work with for depression, and when you feel like it's, you know, just not happening in your life or whatever, those feelings, you know, according to the Stutz. And Chris and I kind of went through this whole workbook thing together for months, you know, 2 or 3 months, and worked on these tools together, because we both are somewhat depressive people, and you have this, you know, will inside you to live that life that you've always loved, which is to be passionate and live your dreams and all this stuff. But there's also this thing inside you that just makes you wake up and go, my life sucks, you know,
Yeah.
or just, I don't want to get up, you know, I mean, just things like that. And that has to do with depression, you know. So Chris and I, we did the Stutz thing together, and there was one that really hit home for me was when he talked about his nephew passed by his own will and in a suicide, like a silo, and one of the tools was the tower. One of the tools from the Stutz program is like, you envision the black sun, right? Isn't that what they call it, Chris?
Yeah.
Where you envision yourself in this tower, this black tower, and basically you're looking at the ugliness, you know, you're looking at the abyss, staring into the abyss, which Chris has another song that's a fabulous song about this thing, you know.
A Walk in the Fog. Yeah.
A Walk in the Fog. Yeah. It was one of my favorite, one of his first ones. Actually, it's probably the first one we recorded together, because I took the MP3 and put some tracks on it, sent them back to him. But that's a fabulous song.
Well, let's take a minute and hear this. Let's take a second and hear this next one real quick, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go. Check this one out.
Major seven chords.
Yeah.
Feel good.
Those
chords.
two guitars sound really good together.
Yeah.
Really, that was, you know, totally unplanned, all of that.
And very
I mean,
rough.
the only plan was that
My
we do
vocals.
it somewhere, somehow, but technically on the technical side, we just pushed buttons and pressed record on the phone, basically, is what happened. But
Yeah.
Well, I was able to get one more. So you
All right.
gentlemen hold your hats here. I was able just to do this while y'all were talking. Let's check
oh,
this-
cool. Oh, yeah. That one. This is a song I like, Chris.
There's a cardinal in the backyard who lives like a king, shows little appreciation for the finer things. Some think he's an omen, a spirit from beyond. I just watch him fly around the pond. Ooh, delusions of grandeur. Who are they and what are we and whom do they believe? Iterations on repeat throughout the century. I always assumed we were all of one, but I'm just a stick in the mud. Illusions of grandeur. One more time. Delusions of grandeur. Cardinals appear when angels are near, and dark is where you start your pilgrimage of fear. The mind is a terrible thing to wait, indulge in the empty space. Ooh, delusions of grandeur. Slow this one. Delusions of grandeur. Who are they and what are, I'm sorry. Okay, what's mine is yours, what's yours is ours, and who is the man? The simple structure to ponder the precious nature of our time. So much pain in the brain that never seems to die. Ooh, mine. It's only in your mind. It's only in your mind. That was not bad.
First
I just
public
watched him
appearance.
fly around the pond.
That was my mom's favorite line too.
Yeah, I like it because it's you. You know,
Yeah.
it's like I'm telling you this big concept, but I just watch him fly around the pond.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I love that song, man. I was
Yeah,
singing
that
that
song
today, actually.
I came from you. I was watching a cardinal fly around the backyard and sent you a text. Hey, can you give me another line? And then that's kind of where it
Yeah,
took off from there.
yeah. Another thing that's interesting that Chris and I have done twice. He sets me up with some chords and requests a song, and so I'll sit down. Usually, I'm Ubering, and that one was at a stoplight, and so the Dairy Queen song. He said, "What can you do with these chords?" And he gave me 4 chords, and then I wrote the Dairy Queen Blizzard song, and then I did the same for him, didn't I?
Yeah,
I think I threw you some chords,
I believe so. Yeah.
and then Chris comes out. It's a nice mission, man. It's cool. It's a break from your own musical quest. You know, you're doing something for somebody else. Kind of like the Fling Show stuff I do for you, Chris. It's like it's a joy to do because it's somebody's needing it from you, as opposed to just being a writer in your lair, you know,
The infinite spiral.
in your vacuum. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, isolation is a big thing going on today, I think, you know.
Oh yeah. Misinformation, isolation.
We're building
Isolation.
spaceship as we go, honestly.
Yeah. on the fly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Duct tape. That's the other thing, Chris. Chris likes he likes to mess around with the AI stuff. He's embracing the AI, and so I'll send him stuff like the Bela Magic one with the picture of me that looks like a like a unicorn.
Yeah.
Chris liked that one because Chris always calls my forehand the unicorn. So that's where that
like
came.
seeing a unicorn out. What I did kind of like, so someone's got to fill me in about the art, because along with the video, Tim, you sent me quite a few different pictures as well. So let's get a little explanation on where this is coming from. Is this been manipulated by somebody? Is this natural? Because you know how
this is the AI stuff I was just talking about.
I think that was a prompt, and I don't remember what I said, but it was frog related. And this gave me a mutated frog.
It's amazing. I'll send him. You know how, Chris, I take pictures randomly of stuff. You know, sometimes it's just a pattern or whatever, and I'll send them to Chris Edwards, and he'll AI it. And I'm amazed at what the AI sees in the pictures. That's the stuff. Some of the stuff that you see.
Right. This is another thing that you sent as well.
And so it always kind of makes my day, you know, it makes my day lighter to see my pictures come back as some kind of classical piece of art, basically, is what it is. Like that one, that's a perfect one. Look at this little window that was created.
From the rocks, right? This is the window through the
Two
rocks.
images. Yeah. Couple of
Which
images.
is funny because I manipulated that image as well and didn't realize till now those seats, the pews, all right, and the other ones look like, you know, theater seats. But that's funny how I manipulated it as well. I don't know if you noticed that with the show poster that I did.
Yeah, it was cool.
I didn't realize that. Did you see that you were also on the screen in there? And then Chris was the preacher.
Yeah, I did.
Chris, did you notice that?
Yeah.
Chris will be a great
had
preacher.
You as the preacher as kind of like a ghostly figure. I kind of hollowed you out and widened you out just a little bit. And then I put Dave on the screen as if everybody's going in there to listen to him preach.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of, you know, I enjoy things like that as well. I was trying to use all the art that you had sent me. So I was wondering where this all came from, Dave.
That was that church is, I mean, you can go and check it out. I can't remember Ohio. It has some name like Ohio. It's like southeast Houston area. I'll think of the name here in a minute. But anyway, drop off a guy there, and we had this incredible religious conversation all the way there from the Woodlands. I really love it when I make a connection where I can talk openly about how I feel. I had one writer yesterday tell me, usually I don't talk politics or religion. And I'm like, that's funny. That's what I talk about. It's like, but anyway, so I dropped this guy off in this little town out there. And then I turned around. I had seen the church when I dropped him off. I was like, I got to go check that out. It was just an old dilapidated church. And those theater seats are still in there from, it's got to be the 50s, you know? And all that stuff is still intact. I mean, it hasn't been vandalized or, you know, usually an old building like that gets beat up just by kids, you know.
Oh, for sure. It reminded me of something I'd see out there in East Texas, out there in Nacogdoches area. And then I like this one as well. This is another one I kind of enjoyed. I kind of want to manipulate it to where on the top right-hand side, you might put a fish tank and things like that. You know, fish is swimming in there as well. But yeah, y'all had quite a few different ones. This is your I can't get it into the frame with right on that one, but that's the one with the unicorn that you're talking about.
Be the magic.
Be the magic. Which is a concept, you know, be happy, the whole idea, you know.
Lead by example, and others.
Be happy is not, you know, it's not that hard to do. You just have to be it, you know.
Where'd you see this one from him?
That came from one of my pictures that AI turned it into a cool composition. Yeah, I sent Chris a picture, can't remember what it was, and then he came up with that.
Yeah, you know, I guess there are more, because it turns more things into women than, I guess there's just more pictures of women on the internet, if that's how AI works, if it's just scrubbing, but it turns most things into females.
It tends to zone in on sort of like after post-Renaissance, like like what was that movement? I'll think of it here in a second, but yeah, kind of like the stuff in the 40s that was happening at Frank Lloyd Wright's period, and before. Let's see, what would you call that? I guess modern art at the turn of the century. Kind of.
Yeah, I think the prompt for that was like fine art. I think
Fine art, yeah, that's it.
What it's you push that button. It's very easy. I do nothing. Touch the screen.
This
Right.
is the one that I liked as well a lot.
Yeah, that's the
just the
church.
perspective of it. Obviously you can't see the ground, whereas it's walking and it's a dirt floor. And these are the seats that look more like theatrical, a theater seat
Yeah.
Yeah,
as well.
that's
I can
that's
kinda move out of the
exactly
way.
how it is. I mean, that's exactly they're all intact. I mean, all those seats, usually get ripped out and sold, or somebody will come by. And I mean, just the fact that this place is still there is pretty crazy to me.
Mhm.
I'll have to go back as soon as I remember the name of it.
Yeah. When I
Yeah.
see stuff like that, it makes me think
And
of
remember where it
history.
was.
What'd you say, Chris?
And
When I see
remember
stuff
where
like
it
that-
was.
Oh, apologies.
What'd you say, Edwards?
Well, just seeing old pictures like that, it makes me think of the history of places like that, the
Oh
nostalgia.
man, and the floors. Like I was hearing the music and the foot stomping and the lifting hands. I could feel the revival in there. That place.
I got to go to a few places like that in Nacogdoches and the Southern Baptist all black churches. I mean, I stepped myself in there a few times to just kind of get that sense and feeling of a church that was built somewhere in the 40s out in the middle of nowhere country, and just a one-room shop, just on the side of the road. So yeah, they definitely have a different feeling when you go in there. I love the passion and the music, and the feeling that you're done. And it's kind of like what I do for disc golf. As I tell you all the time, I go for it's the getting together. It's the ritual of us all kind of just taking place and having a good time and having fun at one time, which y'all were both just saying that earlier. I wish we kind of get back to that a little bit when someone had just mentioned, what AI does and how TV and every commercial and how it just leads you to this and that thought of, inferiority and you're not good enough. And it's amazing that we consume it on our own though. It's just a tool that your parents gave you as a child. And now the consumption is not just from a TV screen that we used to have to put foil on top of just to get a reception to hear anything, and now it's in a little tiny little device that people carry with them 24 hours a day most times.
Now
kinda
the
scary.
Now the foil's on our heads,
Yeah.
Yeah.
protecting
For
us from
protection.
evil.
It should be for protection.
I think that's
you don't let
what they're
anything
using
get
it
in.
for.
That should be the thought. It shouldn't be for receiving anything. It should be for not receiving something. Put something, like that protects your cranium from it. But it's just not that. It's just not what you think. I mean, it has everything to do with the visualization. It's
Yeah.
kind of like I told people that the addiction that I have now is sugar. And it's kind of funny. People laugh, how can sugar be addictive? But it is
Everybody.
the most addictive thing to me because once I have a little bit, I have to have more. And I noticed that it always tends to get worse during the holiday season. Well, then I thought, well, I do a lot of the grocery store shopping, right? What is the first thing when you walk into a grocery store that you see? What's the first thing that they put in front of your face? Halloween candy,
Oh yeah.
Valentine's Day candy, candy, just rows of it, right? All the good food's in the back, but right up when you walk in that door, they're going to get you mentally. And then that just starts the whole process of that addiction. And that it's right there.
That
And
is
it's
the
real.
gateway drug
It's,
of all peoples.
I'm telling you right now, it's
Yeah.
crazy. And I think that the same thing that we get with the commercialization of everything, right? It's the, look at me, look what I have, look at my car, look at my shoes, look at my hat, look at my clothes, look how cool I am. That whole thing. The coolness part I don't really care about, right? Be cool.
Right.
You mean you can be cool in shorts and a t-shirt, but unfortunately, it's like I had a conversation with my kids the other day. Somebody bought one of those dang Pokemon cards for $4 million. A Pokemon card. And then he tried to give me some reasoning behind, why it was worth it. And I said, you're missing the point
Yeah.
that a 2 by 3.5 piece of cardboard is worth what would solve maybe, I don't know, let's say 100,000 humans' food needs for maybe 10 years.
Certainly. Yeah.
Let's just think about that just for a second in perspective. But you need to have that 2.5 by 3.5 piece of cardboard.
Yeah.
How we value things is
Crazy.
crazy.
What's your most valued possession?
My car.
My children.
Yeah. Treasures. The real treasures are people.
Yeah. Okay. I'm talking like form thing.
Like if my house were to burn down, what's the one non-human or pet thing that I would grab?
Yeah.
Yours would probably be an instrument, knowing you, Dave. It'd probably be something that you play.
Tough call. It'd be like 5 instruments, but
right.
Well, as quick as he grabbed that mic, I mean, he might be.
To be honest with you, I'd probably grab the photo albums of my family, because I've got pictures. My grandparents were born in 1910, 1912. So they've got their parents' pictures, which there's only like 1 or 2 of that were from 1890s and 1880s. So I guess of all the things that I would probably grab, it'd be that, because that's something that I just can't replace. I can't paint that picture for my children. I can't say, hey, this is your great grandparent that was born in, the late 1800s.
That's good. That's a good one.
I've got jerseys. I worked at the sports industry, so I've got hats and jerseys and baseballs all signed. I've got all this kind of memorabilia, but I think it'd be my family history that you just can't get back.
Chris, I hate to circle back, but I got a question. Have you converted those older pictures to a digital format?
No, because I'm slow and old, and I only do. I know.
Take a picture of it.
Doing that all the time. I know. My sister kills me for it as well, as much as that I do all the Photoshop and editing and stuff that I do on a daily basis. But no, I should. You are right. Plus, I could make it into a movie.
Yeah, and you don't need a scanner. You just take some pictures.
Just take the picture. I just take it with my camera now, and just paint the picture.
Camera's better than any scanners out there.
For sure,
your new iPhone, but yeah, that's it's.
But
really
also,
good topic.
There lies the question, which I have a problem with that as well. There's a little part of me, Chris, that also says it's still uncomfortable that it's in the ether.
I know, yeah.
Do you really own it? I've always told my kids, unless you can touch it and feel it, do you really ever own it? It's kind of like land, property, right?
Yep.
You own those things. A CD, an album, his guitar collection, those things you own. Man, things online, they really concern me, because all it takes is turn the power off.
Yeah.
Just turn the power off. That's all it takes. And then what do you own?
Yeah, that's a great point.
What's right next to you, or in your house, or right in your vicinity. That's all you own. So I hear you on that too.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you're saying don't get, not like I get rid of it, even if I scan it in, but it's just a comforting thought that at least you have that,
backup. It's a backup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maybe when I get in my late 70s, I'll do that. Himmy. Oh,
the only
ready,
reason...
Chris, you got to join me in a song today. You ready?
Yeah.
I think you know the words to this. I'm fairly sure you do. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Himmy. Happy birthday to you, my friend. Happy birthday, Himmy.
And many more on the
49 years old. That makes me 48, because he's older than me just by about a few months.
We're young in spirit.
We are. I saw somebody famous say that they were whatever years young, and
George Clinton.
I realized then I'm gonna start saying that, and it's only old people that say that. Like 29-year-olds, they don't say I'm 29-year-old young. They don't care. They're like young. So now we have to start saying I'm 59 years young.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Look, we gotta
try to convince myself.
And we gotta stretch. I gotta stretch my hip flexors. I'm telling you.
Definitely. I did some of that today. Went to the chiropractor today. That was my treat.
Would you like to explain to the viewers why one might have gone to the chiropractor this morning? You might have had an alternative motive For that shows that you might be getting a little old at the age of 59, Dave.
Yeah, I don't think age had much to do with it. I think stupidity had more to do with it. And multitasking, I'm definitely a multitasker. So I'm coming home from driving, I'm go to the backyard because I'm talking to Chris. So I'll go back there and I'll do my thing. And so then I'm talking to Chris and then lit up a cigar and now I got the pool tool and I got that going. And then all of a sudden gotta go. I guess somehow I told Chris I gotta go. So I missed a step. My knee hits cement or the flagstone, and then my whole chest and my neck hit the rest of the flagstone, and I'm in the pool. and Presley saw it. He had come downstairs.
Oh, I wish he had video.
Oh man, he had the best view. He was looking out the window from the living room and saw it happen, and he ran out, and the dogs were barking, and everybody was like. And it stunned me. It was like a body equivalent of a concussion. It was like a body concussion. Is that a thing?
Well,
it's like a seat belt,
like concave that chest and that lung area.
Like a seat belt. Bang, like this right there. So anyway, I got this idea to go see the chiropractor and go see Dr. Scott Bowles right over there by Northside Christian Church, Spring Chiropractic. That's what it's called. Go see him. Scott Bowles is amazing. As he was working me over, he was like, "Yep." And I told him what happened, so he was aware of it. And I just wanted to know if it was too soon. I mean, am I in here too soon? Do I need to heal first? And he was like, "No, you're good." And he started finding the spots, and he said, "Yeah." And this is I'm a spokesman for getting your back adjusted. I think it's important because he said, yeah, you'd be feeling some pain. So he noticed it right there in that area, mid upper back. So anyway, thank you, Scott Bowles. And he's also a disc golfer guy. He works with a lot of disc golfers.
Oh, I bet. I mean, I only laugh because you're okay.
I wish it was on
really hurt
video.
yourself. I wouldn't laugh right now. I laugh, while nobody's watching, but I would still laugh. But I only laugh also because I almost did the exact same thing playing disc golf on Sunday. Didn't pick my foot up tall enough, caught that branch and literally face down. If it wasn't the fact that caught myself with my wrist, and Brandy and Teresa and everybody standing there, old man flailing on the ground, it was just like, all I can see is how am I gonna tell my wife when I get home?
Oh yeah,
I hurt myself because I fell. Yeah, just because
I was trying to let it slide and not say anything, but Presley had told her, so I knew he would because he was concerned.
Oh, I hate that too, because now it's like, are you okay? Do you need to go to the doctor? I mean.
Presley was out there trying to reach for my cigar and hat, which was right dead center in the middle of the pool. And I'm sitting there trying to get my stuff together. I said, I'll get it. I'm already wet. So,
Presley, so much. I wish you'd have had pictures or video. That'd be so awesome. Even just the hat and the cigar in the middle of the pool would have been awesome.
It was funny. In fact,
I could have made fun with
here's
that
the reason,
all day long.
The reason I didn't take a picture of that is because my phone was wet. And we were
biggest concern.
And Presley was like punching buttons and he had it on some kind of thing. Do you know this? It's like it plays a sound and it helps clean your water out. He was like immediately in a couple of clicks, he had it on YouTube and it was playing my speakers. It's for your speakers. It says save your speakers, I guess. Yeah. And it plays a tone and it helps clean it out. So anyway, but yeah, that was the funny part was I had my phone in my hand and I was talking to Chris in the middle of the conversation, and it was a full day before he even knew that's when it happened. Yeah, I told him.
He said, "I'll call you back," and I don't even know if he was falling as he was saying, "I'll call you back."
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I got to see him. I think I saw him like an hour and a half later, and he's telling me the story of his outfit, and I was just not piecing it together. He's like, "Yeah, I had this great outfit. We had the fling show stuff because he knew we were going to shoot video." And I'm like, "What?" And Dave sometimes will tell a longer story. I'm like, "Okay." And the next thing I know, he goes, "And my phone's all wet." And then that's when I put it 2 and 2 together that, oh, he fell into the pool.
Yeah.
Now I understood it. So it all came together. And then, of course, the joviality of it all just kind of rang true. But I was just making sure he's okay. And of course, he goes out there to try to play disc golf. So the first thing you do is try to rip something across the front of your chest.
Oh.
It was quite entertaining. The forehand
was
was worse, though.
That
I
was a
don't
good
think the
test,
backhand
though.
was bad, but that forehand was killing you.
That was a good test. I needed to go move around and see how everything's working.
It's still tender.
And I'm fine. Yeah, I was right there in the sternum.
I don't know what the
But-
temperature is down there, but you could do a cold plunge in that pool.
Yeah, I know. I've thought about it. I did.
Yeah,
Yesterday.
yeah. It sure did.
For
Just
sure.
don't
I
hit the
did.
concrete when you're getting in.
It is colder now. It's definitely chilly.
Yeah.
I was shaking afterwards.
Yeah, Chris, where do you live anyway?
Cleburne,
Oh, Cleburne.
3 hours north of you guys.
I know where it is. I know where Cleburne is. I had
Yeah,
some fraternity
Cleburne.
brothers up for them with Stephen F. Austin from Cleburne.
Yes, sir.
Dayton. Is that it? Dayton? Is that a Texas?
That's over
town?
towards Louisiana area.
That's it. I think that's the town. That's where I was. That's a little church. Texas.
Yeah, it's towards you heading towards Louisiana, Dayton out there. That's more East
Mhm.
Texas.
Yeah, that was it. That's where the church is. We'll have to go to church.
Well, Dave, I wanted to say something to you. You said stupidity before the fall story, but stupidity transcends age.
Yes.
Everybody has it. Everybody.
Yeah,
Stupidity.
it's true.
Yeah.
Well, can I have a theory? You're kind of born stupid and you gain knowledge and you get smarter. And then as you get older, you get stupider,
Yeah.
because you don't remember as well.
Mm.
Things just don't work like you it's not getting better, right? You know that
upgrades
memory
aren't
part's not
effective.
getting better, right? So
Yeah.
kind of like that. I always tell my wife I took care of my grandparents before they passed away. It's like you see them grow and then you also see them pass and how they become childlike almost, right?
Yeah.
Dependent, childlike thought pattern, same thing. Happens to everybody,
Yeah.
so it's
That's
no
the
secret.
process.
That's why you take care of your elderly, take care of your family.
Mm.
Yeah.
You do.
And have
Yeah.
someone to take care of you. If you
Right.
can.
I mean, but you shouldn't have to pawn it off and pay somebody who works out of some facility. I've always thought that the
Yeah.
Asian culture and the Hispanic culture do a much better job with their elderly.
No doubt.
They
No
put them and
doubt.
they take care of them. That's what they should be done. They take care of you your whole life. It's time for
That's
you to take
funny,
care of them when they need it. So you don't put them some home. I've never cared for that, but I come
I
from a
drove-
different kind of valuation.
I drove a
system.
guy a couple of days ago who was in that situation, and he told his wife, he said, I don't know what to do. I mean, we just need to take care of her. So they brought her into the house, and he was telling me the story of that care, and it's hard,
Yes.
But I think the most impressive, the thing that I think of most is it's hard because we just don't want to do it. And you got to find the will. I mean, I know the lady that took care of my mom, she was kind of a helper before my mom passed. She had 11 memory care patients that she took care of. And half of them hated her when she was leaving or even when she was there. She had that situation 11 times a day,
Right.
and she did it gracefully. And, so it's hard because we think it's hard, it's hard because it's not comfortable, it's hard because it's not our life. And all of a sudden our life is upended. This guy was in a bad way, he was struggling.
Well, a lot of that also has to do with how we grow, right? When we are in a shock that the fact that they're back with you, that means that they were so much out of your life beforehand. That means that you didn't start taking care of them and start caring for them in their 50s and in their 40s and in their 60s when they, that's when you start to really understand, they get comfortable with you and you understand who they are and who you are and how to work around that. And if all of a sudden you just get stuck at the end, where it's their last year, 2 years of their life, yeah, it's extremely difficult. That's really not taken care of, right? I mean, we all know there's levels to it. There gets to be a point where you can't pick something up. You're afraid they're going to fall down. You're afraid they can't cook for themselves. There gets to be that point well beforehand. But for some reason, our culture just lets that lag and go and go and go instead of taking responsibility earlier. And I like the fact that you phrased it with, it's hard. But guess what? Raising children is hard.
Pets.
It's extremely hard to raise children. So I mean, it's that give and take, and you just hope that what you give and what you take are balanced out in the end. It's not only for yourself, but for your family and for everyone. You want to die with some civility, humility.
It's what I call paper route hard.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
if you ever had a paper route.
Oh, I had paper route when I was a kid.
It's nonstop. It never stops. It's like, it's always ready for the paper. Like, take a break, man.
The hardest thing for human beings is being human, I think. And we have gone away from our hunter and gatherer states where they were tight knit family, and we're separated in our phones and all these other things.
Amen. That was a good point. Also, Chris, you made about it's hard because we're not connected to them. And that's the point that Chris Edwards is making too. It's the same exact point. Absolutely. And that's something that we, just because it's out here in the open, it's something that we need to work on, and we are working on, as a race. I think, all this crap that's happening because we're so isolated is telling us something,
Hell, in society, it almost is in its own way forcing us all back together.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is just the cost of living alone now is almost unaffordable for the majority of human beings. So, and almost instead of them gathering a roommate or somebody they don't know, they're staying with their family. Right. They're staying and helping out because one day it can benefit them. They can get enough financial gain to hopefully go out and then be successful. And if not, at least what you worked with your parents is then transferred to you. So it allows you to move forward and become stronger. So there's positives to both. But I mean, society is making it that way. I always tell my kids, they say, well, when did you realize prices were going up? I said, it's when the moment they took mom out of the house, which for me was in like the early 70s, right? And they were like, well, how'd they do that? I go, it's kind of subtle, but where I think we noticed it the most is that milk went from being like 85 cents a gallon to like $1.85 a gallon. Bread went from like 35 cents to 95 cents. So they got it through just the necessity of humanity to make you go, oh no, it's affecting me when I eat. Because we can all stop going out. We can all stop going to the movies. We can all stop doing that part, right? But it's when it starts affecting you at the house, and then all of a sudden it started making mom get out of the house and work because it cost you just that much money, along with dad paying the rent and the mortgage and the gas bill and the electric bill and the phone bill and all those things that fed up to it. So, I'll stop rambling, but I think you get the point.
Truth. Yeah, and your car, your horse, can get pretty expensive replacement parts. So you got to have a car to get anywhere.
Definitely.
And they make them to break down. They used to be able to make them to last forever. Although they have made them. Cars, on the other hand, are one of those things that I will have to say they've made last longer. Because I do remember, like in the 70s and those 60s and 70s models, they were only good up to about 100,000 miles, and it was like, okay, everything in the engine needs to be replaced. And now, if you don't go 150, 200,000 miles, it's like, oh my goodness, what's wrong with this car? So that's the one thing that obsolescence has at least given us a few more miles, whereas the light bulb and the battery, which could last forever, but we choose not to make those.
Yep.
We just continue to make more.
True.
No, it's an excellent point about, we're grouping back together out of necessity economically. And if you look at it from a positive way, there are a lot of benefits. You got free childcare, or not free, but childcare on hand which is the grandma, which is the way it was, when our dads were our age and younger, that group family can be a fun thing, it's just, and is it better that we're isolated from our parents? I mean, has our life been better because we don't, connect
I don't think so.
every day?
No.
I think there's a lot of positives that this economic slump that we're having, inflationary slump that we're all in. It's a swamp of, could be perceived as ugliness, but also, like you said, it's brought us together. It's made us eat at home. It's, there's some positive things that you can take out of it.
And just the information that you get from your elderly, just the information that you lose, that what they were able to do was so much less, right? You lose all that information because now it's so much easier for the things that we want to go do. When I was a kid, go visit my grandparents and my, actually that would be my great grandparents, since my mom was 17 when she had me. So they were still alive. We would go see them in Arkansas, Bentonville, Arkansas, and having dinner. She walk outside and literally go get the chicken, wring its neck, and we were eating it that evening. Try to tell my kid to do that right now, or my wife to do that. They look at you 2 ways a Sunday. That ain't happening, right? That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Not even go fillet a fish.
I grew up with
So
Bugs
there's
Bunny.
things that we lose just the ability to understand, so then we get passionate about something and we go, oh no, I couldn't do that. It's like, well, heck, you couldn't feed yourself. You wouldn't be able to survive today if it wasn't for these people, but if you lose that touch with people who grew up that way, and I was fortunate enough to grow up with my grandparents. So in my great grandparents, I still had 2 alive for formative years in my mental state where they were still, I was about 12 before they passed. My great grandparents, that is. So I got that information. I got to see what it was like for someone like that to go out and wash their clothes in a freaking big old, pot outdoors on a little scrubber, go out and hang them. But you know what? When you put those clothes on, they smelled so good. They were so fresh. It was beautiful. It was wonderful. That concept today, it's all gone. There's no way someone's walking outside and slinging their clothes outside and washing them on a washing board and sticking them outside on a line, right? Unless it's out of necessity.
Right.
Yeah, we had a line.
Just like food and it's industrialization. And that's what we do with our elderly. Warehouse them.
Yeah. Yep. All that information, all that knowledge, all the time where we can go, hey, you know what? When you look at these politicians now, this is what you should be looking at.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear that.
Then we'll talk about family values. Well, I think when Chat GPT or the AI gets good enough, we can ask it how to fix these problems.
Did you hear that Chat TP, whatever you just said?
Yeah,
they just got in trouble in the court of law because one of the lawyers tried to use it by trying to look up a case. Well, unbeknownst to him, whoever created Chat, whatever you just said, they had been able to formulate the AI to lie, to make things up because it's supposed to be more human-like, right?
Yeah.
So and that's something
this thing made up a case.
Chris and I talked about this very thing. It's like, okay, AI is basically what did you say, Chris? It's basically what we used to call it. It's our history. It's our
it's scrubbing every little
scraps.
Bit of data.
That's what it was. I had a song called Scraps. It's basically our scraps. Yeah. And it picks up everything that we are and knows us. So what's it going to be? Yeah, it's going to be freaking deceptive as hell and dishonest and all this stuff.
Well, this one was programmed to be able to lie and make it up. But the federal judge was, there's a couple cases that it had brought up, and he was like, all those federal court cases are all documented, numbered, serial numbered. You can find every single one. So it's like, if you can't find it, it's a lie. And so when he brought the lawyer back in, he asked him how he'd done it. And that's how he said he did it. Wow. And then he only recently found out that the maker of it had allowed the AI to lie, which I thought was very, telling of the system inside of itself on 2 fronts. One, that it was smart enough to pick up the fact that it could lie, and the fact that it had to be programmed that way.
Yeah. Once AI
It didn't pick it up on its
Yeah.
own. It was programmed to lie.
Right. The creator must be moral in order for the creation.
Yeah, go to Legal Bites or Legal Eagle is the guy who goes over on YouTube. He's really good. He's a lawyer, obviously, but he did a part on that, and I thought it was just funny because he was just, of course, those lawyers got sanctioned, and which is one of the worst things you can have as lawyers, to be sanctioned, because that means you don't know the law or you're not at least following it, right? One or the other.
Yeah. I'm
Anywho.
optimistic. I'm optimistic of things in the future. I'm pretty optimistic, however, concerned. Yeah.
It's always the funny thing about that, though. It's not the majority that concerns me. It's
Yeah.
always the minority.
Absolutely.
It doesn't take but a few people to do the wrong thing
For
to
somebody.
affect a whole lot of people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you see that in war all the time, and I think that you see that just in what people do on a daily basis in corporations. And I've always said that's the ugly part about corporations, is because if people know they're doing something wrong, but they do it anyway.
Right.
These
are the new empires of our
Yeah,
time.
it's that money.
Yep.
That money, got to have that money, that gold, that diamond. You got to have something that blings and makes you feel like you're more important than the rest of us. Because when you go to the bathroom, it just happens to come out gold, I guess. The rest of us,
Yeah.
it just comes out the material that we put in our body, but for them, it's gold.
I'm but a mere peasant to these.
I want to be a peasant. I'm okay with that, to be honest with you.
Same here. Minimal.
Tell my kids all the time, don't flaunt, because that just makes somebody watch you. When they're watching you, then some people are nefariously, when they watch you, and that means they want something that you have.
Oh yeah.
So you may want that $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 car, but guess what? So does that poor person or somebody who doesn't have anything. He wants that too. So I've always liked what my grandpa said. You can always tell a man by his money, by his fence. Because
Yeah.
where his home and his house was what important. It wasn't what he drove. But he grew up in Bentonville, Arkansas, and that's where Walmart started. So he got to meet Sam Walton, and he said Sam Walton would just come up in his red pickup truck, be like anybody else. You wouldn't know that man had a nickel.
Right.
He
I
had
was just
blue
there.
jeans, a shirt, boots, and a pickup truck that was 30, 40 years old. Whole life. That pickup truck's really is still in his, and I'm not saying the Walmart's the greatest people in the world, but I'm just saying the eldest person.
Right.
That pickup is actually in his museum in Bentonville.
Humility is royalty without a crown.
I like that, though. Put them blue
Come
jeans
on,
on. You know how much money's in that man's pocket.
Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the way to live.
I was out there in Walmart land this summer, and you could just, I don't know if it was just my host telling me about it, all the Walmart stuff going on out there, all the they give to that. They pretty much supply, thousands of dollars annually to people and homes and stuff. I mean, there's some good things to Walmart, other than just poisoning our food system on a global level and making us pay for it, that kind of thing. And just the stuff and just making our whole life revolve around Walmart. That's pretty much what they've done.
I'm a consumer.
They've plugged us in, but other than that, they do some really good outreach stuff. The guy was definitely with good intentions with his money, and you can feel it out there everywhere you go, with museums and parks and roads, and it's just Wally land,
Yeah.
Sometimes I always wonder if that's a facade, because the reality of it is that the billionaires realize that they've got to give away so much money. So it's a tax financial break for them. So it's one of those quagmires that I always have. It's kind of like the athletes as well. Not that it's not good that they don't give. It is good. But sometimes it is a reason for saving more money. Let's be honest.
Or having your name on a building. Start your philanthropic endeavors early.
Yeah.
With your wealth.
Yeah, I get that.
That's
why
it's all a quagmire.
You can refer back to the book, the Bible, and Jesus talks about, if you want to know the way, you're going to have to just get rid of everything. It's not just a little bit, for tax purposes, If you really
Yeah.
want to be all in, give it all up, which kind of goes back to what I had kind of was feeling earlier, Chris McClung, when you were talking about, that connection being the most important thing with our care of each other. That just sticks with me. It's hard because we've lost a connection. It's hard to make friends with people because we've lost a connection. It's hard to stay energized throughout the day because it takes people. It takes people to things that you want to do. Like the disc golf event this weekend. It was great hanging out, and the camaraderie and just the group of people that you and Matt Stillwagon have kind of put together. You're following, or the people that are playing the tournament. It was nice. It was nice to be a part of that, and those are the things that keep you alive. You can't live in a bubble. And I guess to sum up our show tonight, that's kind of what I drew out of everything. It meant a lot to me when you said that, Chris, about that's why it's hard, because you have lost that connection with your parent or whatever. You didn't have a relationship.
I mean, me, we've talked to me a lot. I mean, I've got a little different perspective. I live with 3 of my grandparents, 2 of which passed away in the house that I grew up in, and I took care of them as they passed away. And the last one obviously did not pass away that way, but we lived in our house for 15 years. You met him,
Mm-hmm.
So I speak from experience when I say how important it is that I know now that I knew the comfort that they had, the fact that they got to stay in their own house, or in my father-in-law's case, got to stay in our house and live a good life and be around his family. Whether you take advantage of that or not, that's up to the elderly person. But as far as making sure that, we didn't just go stick them in a corner or stick them in a box or stick them somewhere, with someone who doesn't know them, taking care of them, it has not ever been an option for me. And you've known that about me, but it's a unique position that I've taken basically since I've been 16 years old, so, it's very important to me. I can tell you that. That's why I tell my kids all the time, I never had my kids to be away from them. Do I want them to go out and be successful? Do I want them to be strong? Do I want them to be happy? Do I want them to do the things that they enjoy in life? Of course. But I also wanted them to always know that I'd never had them to get rid of them or be away from them. The theory that you got to kick them out when they're 18 years old just never really just sunk into me. It never really has. I never really understood that. Right. It's important that they stand strong on their own. But same sense, I don't ever want them to feel that way, ever. And I tell them that all the time.
And now it's no longer the voices in our head, it's the voices on our phones. Like, for example, my mom, she's in a convalescence facility right now. She just got a stent put in, but she's doing fine. She's coming home, but she's on her phone. And she's getting all kinds of insight from the universe. So, it has infected our mothers and fathers as well. So,
it's just so funny. They don't understand the game. It's a 50-50. I mean, if you're not watching something that's a movie that's fun, comedy, or something that's funny or horror that just has a beginning and an end, but you actually go into the social part of it, whether it's in the political satire, the social satire, or any other part of that, it's their goal is 50-50. They're like Las Vegas. They're not successful, and they get half of you mad and half of you happy.
Yeah, it's
They
outrage.
don't care if you're happy on this time and mad on that time, or happy on that time and mad on that time. They don't care. All they want is that line.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all they want. And they want you to react to it.
Yeah,
And
they
so it's
manufacture
just
the
kind of like they
outrage.
throw the little food in the pond and we go up and we bite it. It's just,
Yeah,
it's sad to watch. I have friends of mine that I've known for 50 years. And I go into their house and they got Fox News on, and you're just sitting there going, you've been watching this all day. Is this what you do when you wake up in the mornings? First thing you do is you turn on your TV set.
Be
Really?
afraid. Be afraid of everything.
How can you let that stuff in your brain?
I
Doesn't
know.
it it's just a waste of space in my brain. We don't ever watch that stuff. We call it the death watch anyway. So
Look, they're
That's
gonna
cool.
get you mad, and then they're gonna sell you the pill that'll make you feel better. That's how it works.
oh no, they know me. We don't have that conversation because I don't supply either side with ammunition. I don't play their game.
That's the
You know,
only
I
way to
said
do
you
it.
don't call me a name. Don't put a Republican or Democrat or liberal or a conservative. You can't call me that.
Yeah,
I'm just a human being who makes good decisions about the things that affect me.
right. It's not black and white.
That's all. I try to be conscious about the things that I think are good in life. And if you don't like that, then that's okay. As we played a disc golf tournament the other day, care less.
That's right.
Yeah.
And like my good friend Mark Stiles once told me, after I asked, I said, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you." And he said, "That's okay. You can't offend me." That sentence stayed with me for years. You know, like how can I get to be enlightened like that to where I'm not offended? You know, I really did think about that a lot over the years, and that's the point in which I think I am. I'm here. You can't offend me. Actually, it's probably not true.
Yeah.
Probably make fun of me falling in the pool, and I'd be offended.
Foot fault or
Foot
foot
fault.
fault.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. Yeah.
Turn off all the news. Go
Don't
outside.
listen to me, but yeah, it definitely, that's the theme song to the Fling Show, was kill your TV and just go outside. That was kind of the very first thing I wrote when Chris and I started this thing. And that's a John Lennon, song, kill your TV, somewhere, or he was holding up a picture, kill your TV. I think I saw one time a famous picture, but yeah, that's what I would advise. I mean, watch your podcast or whatever, get your Joe Rogan, whatever you want to do, disc golf, find a movie,
Find some recipes. That's where that's where the magic
is. That where it's at?
Yeah.
I can't
Find some
do
recipes to cook. I mean, that's where all the magic is.
that. Okay. I'll have to look into that. It just sounds so interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's about it for tonight. Thanks for coming on, Chris Edwards.
Thanks for having me,
Chris
guys.
McClung, thanks for putting all this together really on the fly in the last day, really. Yeah, I guess today is when you did your edits. Thanks a lot, man.
It was.
Made my night.
Today.
It's fun to watch. I've got so much more from the weekend. Chris and I got together and recorded stuff, and then we have ongoing stuff. And our next goal is to do a live performance somewhere, probably an open mic. We'll keep you posted. We could have some friends out. It would be nice, Chris, if you want to show up. That'd be a blast. But somewhere in Conroe, downtown, probably. I think there's an open mic there. And Chris and I said, let's just do it, and we'll have to, put it all together. All the materials there. We both write songs all the time and have for the last 30 years. So for me, 30, Chris 25, but yeah, so we're looking forward to that. Next time when he gets some time off, probably September. I don't know. We'll talk about it, but it's an ongoing thing. We'd love to pop back on the Fling Show and just kind of keep you updated. Basically, I see it as kind of the start of our project. Was the first day we got back together in Weatherford and jam. But since then, we've added songs together, concepts. We've hashed out our beliefs together. We have totally different beliefs, but it's always funny to me when I get Chris's perspective on my woo-woo things that I'm into. It keeps me grounded, but it also keeps it light. And that's the thing I love most about both of you guys, is everything's light. Chris McClung, back in the pandemic days, we'd talk every morning, and it was just a joy because you appreciate the sunrise that just came up in your backyard and your plants that are growing and stuff like that. And Chris Edwards is pretty much the same like that. We share lighthearted ideas on heavy concepts. Basically, is
Indeed.
how.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I have to replay that one. That's great, Hemi.
Oh, that's pretty much how we roll. And And you guys, it's interesting, both being Chris, we're kind of the same in that we share certain ideas together moving forward. And we kind of keep in touch on the regular about these ideas, you know. So appreciate it. Thanks for all your hard work. Thanks for allowing us to segue into this music world
Definitely,
and
Chris.
music and art.
Well, yeah, I love it. You know that, Hemi. I love the music side of what you do and what we do. It's always been part of the Fling Show as well. And whenever you bring on special guests like this, it's awesome because I've always said the thing that we do is we shed light on people that need light shedded upon them, right? Not everybody needs it, more of it. It's the people that don't ever have it. Those are the ones that we like to shed light on. But I want to thank Chris for coming on the show this evening. Thank you so much. And I know as we go along, as Hemi kind of mentioned up, I might be able to kind of edit this and kind of digitize y'all's beginning, and let's see where this all goes.
That's all we can do. Move forward.
All right. Well, you have a good night, my friend. Nice meeting you.
You too. You too. Thanks so
Bye,
much.
Chris.
See you.
Good night. All right, Himu. I told you I had a special for you. I got a new closing, little of the old, little of the new. I did incorporate the new song as well. Yeah, before we go, him, as usual, thanks a whole lot. Love the show, love the conversation, everything that we had to talk about this evening. It's always a pleasure to do that with you, my friend. And until next time, go throw something in the air, play disc golf, and
Just fling it, bro.
fling it, bro. Peace. And until then, let's check out this new closing video. Enjoy. We go. We have a wiener. That is funny, but a bunny if you fell. Dang it. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I was hoping you'd fall, though. Yeah, I mean, it's not real deep. You can stand up there. I said it's not real deep. You can stand up there. Not like you're going to drown. I think I want to see how far you can just bring it up on shore. All the way. All the way. Come on, you can do it. Come faster you go. Come on. Come on.
It's okay, it's alright. It's okay to shine your light. Talk to me. Talk to
Good night. Oh, PC. Y'all next week, guys.
All right.